Everyone can hear me well or not?
We can hear you.
Okay. So I assume that everybody's here. I mean, everybody can hear me. Okay, and I'm waiting to see the other student coming on board so that we can start together. We have to expedite our speed of teaching today, as I have been late for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks so far. I sincerely apologize for that because I'm very much occupied by many urgent assignment. Okay, even today, even tomorrow, because it also escalate the prospect of Cambodian trade, perspective. Okay, whether we will be doing something during this period or not, or we just keep watching. Okay, because right now the price of the fuel, gasoline, is gonna be skyrocketing within the next 2 or 3 weeks when the, you know, escalation of war between Ukraine and Russia has been deteriorated. So hopefully we are safe and sound. We are not catch up between this very important player of international trade. As you know, Russia is the main exporter of wheat globally, while the Ukraine is the main exporter of the grain and also the what the other item, chicken. Yeah, chicken. And in another important sector is oil. I mean, the two countries are also the big exporter of oil in the world as well. So more or less it will impact our Cambodian economy. And even this morning, our prime minister during the lunch ceremony, the ceremony of launching the inaugurations of National Road 3 this morning, he said that the crisis, the conflict between Ukraine and Russia, has indeed impacted Cambodian economy even at a minimal level so far, but we still remain very cautious, okay, of the future or the possible, impact or larger impact that the crisis will bring to Cambodia and to the region at large. So it's not a simple issue. Okay, I want to tell you, it's gonna be very determinal that everybody or all leaders in the world must be taken care of. Otherwise, they're gonna be catch up. They're gonna be catch game between this two player of the war, Russia and Ukraine. And I hope the Prime Minister remain neutral, not to support any side, because supporting either Ukraine or Russia will jeopardize our foreign policy and also our economy. And even this afternoon, I heard that the a friend embassy in Cambodia and the other embassy in Cambodia from Europe, I forgot, maybe Brazil or something, uh, urged Cambodian government to also support or to also take side with Ukraine and condemn Russia. And I think it is, of course, not possible for the Cambodian Prime Minister because he already said this morning that Cambodia will remain neutral, not to support either party, not to support the further supplies of military equipment to Ukraine or any support either economically or militarily to Russia as well. So he want to remain neutral, and then later two party go to the table for negotiation, bilateral negotiation by themselves, okay, rather than us fueling the conflict to another level through the military and also economic supply to either party. So yeah, that is one of that about the war between Ukraine and Russia. And I think last week everybody here got to know, not last week, but the week before last week, you got to know the clip by the Prime Minister regarding the very harsh blaming of our Prime Minister on our one Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fishery and Forestry. The Prime Minister blamed that the case of pig, or we call it swan, that we decided to ban import from Vietnam in order to support the local productions of pig in Cambodia. is truly against the international trade law. And I also heard the Prime Minister mention about the WTO law. He said that you, the minister, you cannot control the whole economy of Cambodia. If you want to ban, you want to restrict import of pig from Vietnam, you need to also think first about Cambodia membership in many other agreements, including the WTO agreement and also the AFTA, the ASEAN Free Trade Area that Cambodia and also Vietnam are party to. So as you can see here, the Prime Minister take very serious account of the international trade law, okay, in his foreign policy. We cannot just impose any restriction or ban of import and export for any party in ASEAN or the rest of the world, as long as we are still a member of the WTO. That we have to adhere to the principle of international trade law, of trade liberalization, open economy, free market economy. Okay, so that is why I told you that it's very important to study international trade law. It's very important to know about the principle of international trade law, because even the Prime Minister, take a very serious account, take a very serious concerns, okay, about the international trade law before he or his subordinate decide on any matter regarding foreign policy, including economic, diplomacy, and so on. So it is your great advantage that you know how international trade law works, while the other have no opportunity to learn such thing. Okay. So today I'm gonna start my lecture, starting with the slide number 1, and actually we were subject to study these slides in last 2 weeks, but I was so busy. That is why I decided to skip 2 class for 2 weeks. So today we're gonna start with our lecture on the first slide. Let me see how many students are on board now. Okay, yes. Okay, let me share the screen with you all. Okay, guys, can you see the slide right now?
Still loading.
Hello?
Yes,
Are you loading?
I can see it.
Okay, very good. Okay. So everybody can see the slide right now?
Yes, teacher, yes.
Okay, very good. Okay. So again, I think that I might not talk too much in this lecture. I mean, regarding this slide, because the slide is very kind of repetitive to what we studied in semester 1. But here is only a recall, okay, a recall to what we had studied, okay. And then some point I might see, for example, at competitive advantage, absolute advantage. I think it is very basics for you guys. But I just brought it up here in order to give you some, recalling. Okay, okay. So let me skip this. Okay. So a very simple question that I always ask during all my first lecture in the IR or IE403 or IE409 trade negotiation or special topic on trade. I always start with the question, why do countries trade? And I think you know quite well in the past the world did not really demand the practice of international trade that much. Because why? Because that time during the what we call the nomadic life in the lives of the people, during which they decided to move from one place to another in order to hunt for food. Because during the very long period, like 3,000 years ago, yeah, people could not stay permanently in a very specific place. They have to move from one place to another, or they are called what we call nomadic life, nomadic human. They move from one place to another in order to find food, because when they exhausted the resource in one specific location, they decided to move to the other location, because that time they had no clear boundary state. We did not have any state yet. We had alienation, the collective feeling of people who had common sense, belong to a single feeling, belong to a single common sense, for example. So they call themselves as nation, not yet state. So when they got the term as a nation, they had no any specific boundary, no any territorial integrity. So they had the right. They had the power to move from one place to another, from one location to another, from one area to another, from one region to another, in order to find food. But when it came to the modern life, okay, in the I forgot exactly. I cannot remember well the exact year that I used to do during the WXC, World History and Civilization. But assume that in the modern era, when people came to construct the state, they came to live together in a clearly defined territory, in a clearly defined boundary. They could not move any longer, because when they moved to the other place, they would abandon their location, and then they would try to find or to conquer, to conduct war with the other to get the new land, the new settlement. So in order to avoid this kind of conflict, people decided to create government. People decided to create specific or clearly defined boundary to live in a specific location forever or permanently. But at the same time, when they stay there forever, they of course start to feel the shortage of resource, because they consume all the resource available in the specific location, and then right now they cannot move anymore. They cannot just right now, I no longer got access to grain, to wheat, so I decided to move to the other location to find grain or wheat. But right now they stayed there. They could not move freely, okay, anymore like before. So more or less they need to find alternative, to find the supply of source, okay, from one other location, who they believe that those location had this kind of source, while their location had this kind of the other source, okay, the other kind of source that they can actually trade with each other, okay. So the growing of population, the risings of statehood, okay, with the clear boundary for state, okay, to find way to exchange goods and services. That time we did not think of service yet, but we're thinking about good, okay. So when state is found, okay, when the people, the number of people grow, they cannot bring the family out for one day or for 2 weeks or something. They need to stay there forever, so they need to find way to supply, to get the supplies of food, okay, or resources, okay. So here the signs of international trade exists, okay. We call it international because right now we got more than one state that join together to conduct trade, okay. So it is a very brief summary, or in a nutshell, okay, of the evolution of international trade. Okay, we move from nomadic lives to the permanent settlement of people, and then we move from the nation, or what we call the tribal community, to the people living in a specific state, okay, with law, with government, and so on, okay, and with also the introduction of international law on what we call, territory, on security, on, some other, elements of statehood, that everybody, every leader has the right to protect their own state, their own territory. So this kind of responsibility, okay, force the other state not to move freely like before, okay. So hence the origins of international trade law existed, okay, existed until 1995 or 1947, when we got the modern international trade law like GATT, and then in 1995 we got WTO, and then right now we got, new update of international trade law, including trade facilitation agreement in 2017. So it updates almost every year, almost every decade, okay, in order to follow up with the needs of the people, okay, with the new way, the new tendency of the people, especially during the IE 4.0, okay. With increasing of technology, we create new law, what we call e-commerce law, okay. So law always follow, okay, the human need, okay, always follow the trends of human being, okay. So we cannot say that this law is going to be lasting forever. No, law is always subject to amendment. Law is always subject to adjustment in order to respond to the need, okay, to the needs of the people, that always keep changing over time, that always keep changing over time. And why they keep changing? Because resources are always limited. Previously, we don't need to do trade electronically, okay? Because we can just walk across the border and then we can actually move the goods and service from one to another. But right now, with the remote, with the increasing of population, okay, with the busier schedule of transport and so on, electronic supplies of goods and service is also right now needed. That is why e-commerce law is created. Okay, so we follow, okay, the tendency of human being. Law always follow the tendency of human being, human need. Okay, so that is the brief, or that is the very introduction of the international trade in a nutshell. Okay. And here is some, I think it is very repeated answer. Okay, why do trade? Why do people? Why do state do international trade? Because they are different, especially in terms of technology. I have this, you don't have that. I have that, you don't have this. So this kind of differences in technology from one location to another can also promote the needs of international trade, can also encourage the needs of international trade. The types and amount of capital, labor, and resource, I think it's very simple. The production of a variety of the same good or service. Another reason, for example, getting power, as I said, when you have more trade partner, you're gonna get more power, more bargaining power in international agenda. Okay, even Singapore, you can see that Singapore is quite small, but it is an economic hub in ASEAN region, and it is also the largest trading partner in South Asia. Okay. So you can see a very small island, but it can occupy very large shares of regional trade. So Singapore is right now very powerful economically, to say so. Okay. Security. Okay. State also need to do trade, because why? Because they also need to ensure their security. The word security here is not only narrow to the areas of conflict or war, but it is also refer to the food security. Okay, refers to the health security. Okay, education security. Okay, so security in the modern term has been allocated into many areas, including education, food, health, and so on. However, mostly when we talk about security, we refers to the war, we refers to the conflict, we refers to the way to live safe, okay, to live safely. Okay, for example, we need trade in order to get the supports of, let's say, Ukraine. Okay, very realistic and up to that example is the Ukraine crisis right now. Without the flows of international trade, I think Ukraine cannot, have the bargaining power against Russia. Okay, because with the support of the US, with the support of EU, with the support of the other individual member state of EU, in terms of tank, in terms of missile, in terms of other military equipment to Ukraine, this is of course going through the forms of international trade, from the US to Ukraine, from EU to Ukraine, from the other countries or other EU member to Ukraine. They are all going through international trade. So here, basically, to promote the security of Ukraine. And right now, it is Ukraine that feel reluctant to join negotiation with Russia. Previously, it was Russia that was reluctant to join negotiation with Ukraine because Russia leveraged its very competitive power against Ukraine, related to Ukraine. But right now, with the support from the US and from the other Western allies, including the EU and so on, Ukraine is right now gaining more power, on the negotiation table with Russia. And even today afternoon, in Cambodia time, Russia is right now waiting for the, acceptance of negotiation from the Ukraine party. Okay, Ukraine party. So here, basically, international trade also promotes security, also promote bargaining power of Ukraine. Okay, even Cambodia. Okay, we need to do trade. We need to get the supplies of goods and service in order to ensure our health security, but at the same time also to ensure our national security. Okay, for example, to get the weapon supply from China, to get the weapon supply from Russia, and so on. So this is, of course, in order to safeguard our national security, and also political relationship. Okay, some state, let's say that Belarus, Armenia, and also Kyrgyzstan are not a potential trade partner of Cambodia. But Cambodia right now decided to find a way to get in touch with those 3 countries of EAU in order to find a gateway to promote political alignment. Okay, in order to promote Cambodia political relationship with this country. Okay, they are very minimal. Their products are not of potential consumption in Cambodia. Our product is also not of potential consumption in the 3 countries. But we have to approach them. They have to accept our approach, our call, in order to conduct, in order to tie political relationship. There are many other reasons why, okay, state decided to do trade. Okay, I don't I don't mean state, but also economy, also nation like Palestine and so on. They are also, bearing international trade for certain reason, for certain purpose. Okay. However, there are 2 implications from international trade here. First one is the specialization. Uh, uh, yeah, specialization, and second one is welfare. Okay. Specialize. I mean, again, in terms of specialization, is that when we are specialized in one thing, for example, in the productions of goods and service, we can actually produce something relatively more efficiently and also use intensity the factor that we are more endowed with. Okay, so here is the recall of what we call comparative advantage, during which the country, when it is specialized in production of goods and service, it always tend to be used more because it believed that it found that its way of production is relatively more efficient, okay, compared to the other party. And also it has existing resource, it has existing factor, for example, technology, for example, land, okay, for example, labor, okay. They are very, endowed with this kind of factor. That is why they, of course, want to do more trade, okay. In terms of welfare, uh, when we do trade, we can actually provide access to different variety of goods and service that are used all over the world. You cannot use iPhone, so you have to get access to the market that use iPhone, in order to allow them to import into the country, to export to the country, so that you can use. If you don't have any, let's say that our Cambodian people are right now lacking the supply of, let's say, uh, sugar. Okay, so we have to find, okay, a good partner that is very specialized in using sugar, so that we can actually get access, okay, to use the sugar in order to what, to promote our welfare, okay, promote our welfare. So when we can get access to all product, variety of product we use all over the world, we can actually have more choice of consumption. Okay, and when the choice of variety are many, there are so many choice, we can actually have the consumption position, okay, to choose which one is cheaper, which one is more high quality. Okay, so with the choice of consumption, we can actually have a more competitive price, so we can actually find the one that is cheaper, find the one that is efficient, find the one that is of higher quality. And who is the one that gain? It is consumer. So when we talk about the welfare, we refer to the consumer who can get the benefits from international trade. Especially, they can get access to all goods and services produced all over the world. Unlike North Korea, okay, but even North Korea, uh, they still use a lot of goods and service supplied by the rest of the world. Okay, you cannot say that North Korea is right now in the dictatorship regime, so North Korean people cannot use the foreign goods. No, almost all countries still do trade with North Korea. Okay, but during the sanction in 2015 by the United Nations Security Council, some countries decided to remove trade relations with South Korea, with North Korea, including Cambodia. I want to tell you one thing as well, that the Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, okay, and Malaysia, uh, uh, even though they are obliged by the UNSC resolution on the sanction against North Korea, they still have secret trade with North Korea. Okay, that is from the report by the US. Okay, and we Cambodia always got blamed that we support dictatorship regime. We support let's say the corrupt regime like North Korea, like China, and so on. However, when we support the resolution by the United Nations, while the other 4 rich ASEAN member states still support their bilateral trade relation with North Korea. They don't get any blame. Okay, they don't get any criticism from the U.S. That is why sometimes we deserve justice. Okay, we deserve justice. These are also the other gain from international trade. The gain from specialization, mean from economy upscale. Anybody know the difference between economy upscope and economy upscale? Anybody can tell me? Anybody can tell me what is the difference between economy upscale and economy upscope? មានបណ្ដាគេដឹងអាពីរនឹងខុសគ្នាមកយ៉ាង
អត់ដឹងផងជើ
ធ្លាប់រៀនដូចទៅហើយដូចជាធ្លាប់រៀន semester មុនខ្ញុំបានបរៀន Okay. So don't worry, okay. I will not explain now. I will tell you along the way. We got the two terms, economy of scale and economy of scope. Okay. So the gain from better utilization of resource, gain from increased competition. For example, the foreign competition has an effect on the firm pricing decision. Okay. So when we got foreign competition coming to compete in Cambodia, our local production firm cannot determine the price on themselves by themselves. They need to find their price competing against the foreign good for use in Cambodia as well. Okay, so this kind of competition in Cambodia will promote the choice of consumption among consumers because we right now get access to many source of similar good. Okay, so if this kind of good are sold at a high price that we cannot afford, we can actually have choice to choose the other price. Let's say that if we only allow iPhone to be utilized in Cambodia, what if the iPhone price is right now very expensive? So how can we use the other phone available, the other brands of phone available? We cannot. But if we got Samsung, we got iPhone, okay, right now you got so many choices. Whether you want to use Samsung, Motorola, okay, or iPhone, it is up to you. It depends on your preference and also depend on your affordability according to the price of the phone. Okay, so simply speaking, trade promote competition. Okay, trade also promote innovation and also technology transfer. Okay, trade in hand incentive to innovate. The larger size of the market and competition from abroad increase the incentive of a firm to invest in research and development. Trade also favor technology transfer. Okay, technology transfer. But because of this kind of gain from trade, there are also some agreements so far, especially in China. The US in 2016 has been accusing China of technology transfer, that China use internal law to press the foreign company, especially American company, to transfer technology to the local company in mandate. It means that you cannot transfer technology by choice, but you must transfer the technology to the local company by mandate. Meaning that when you come to China, you must transfer technology. That is why the US accused China of violating international trade law, because in the international trade law, especially IP, intellectual property, thrift, a member of the WTO cannot force the foreign company to transfer technology beyond their will. Okay? Because when you force the foreign company to transfer technology, they have no incentive to innovate more. Why do they need to innovate? They need to innovate in order to compete, in order to stand out in the market. Stand out in the market means to stand top, to stand the best. Okay? However, if you innovate something new and then you are mandated, you are forced to transfer to the local company of the country that you invest in. What is the point of innovating something new? Okay? When you try so hard, when you work so hard, when you invest so much, when you utilize so many people, when you spend so much money to innovate one certain technology, and then right now you are forced to transfer it to the other local company. It is nonsense. It is nonsense. And also I want to tell you, right now there is also a debate at the WTO because last 2 weeks, the WTO decided to favor China over the U.S.-China dispute, trade dispute at the WTO, at the panel level. Okay, and then China, the U.S. accused China of the Chinese government forcing American company to transfer technology. Okay, and I don't know the reason as well why the WTO finally decided to favor China. I don't know as well, but I haven't read the panel report so far, but I think there must be a reason behind, okay, why the panel decided to favor China over the U.S. in that case. And also recently we got a letter by the IP advocacy group. Okay, last 2 weeks as well. They decided to submit a letter to American President Joe Biden to ask the U.S. to urge the U.S. to solve the IP crisis, because right now EU and the giant tech company in EU, okay, that are right now racing to use vaccine against COVID-19, okay, they block the decision, they block the proposal by India and also South America, okay, South Africa, okay. So South Africa and India demanded the waiver of the IP on COVID medicine, COVID vaccine. Okay, it means that India and South Africa, okay, want the European scientists, European tech company that we use vaccine to remove obligation of IP, intellectual property, so that India and also some other giant tech company in South Africa can also get the license, can also get the affordable patent, okay, patent, okay, from the EU company to be used vaccine in India as well, to be used vaccine in South Africa as well, in order to save the people who are right now being in danger by the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, the US support the proposal, okay, of India and South Africa, but EU strongly opposed. EU strongly opposed the proposal by India and also by South Africa. So right now, the debate on the waiver request, the request for waivers of IP obligation on COVID vaccine is still on the high agenda of WTO right now. Okay, that is what I want to update you right now. We still have debate on this, whether we should ask the large company that are specialized in using COVID vaccine to also share, okay, their technology through license or through patent, okay, to the Indian company, to the South African company or not. So my question is that, is it promoting innovation or not when you accept the request for waiver of IP obligation? Because European company worked so hard, invested so much money, utilized so many knowledgeable people, okay, to find the ingredient, to find the what we call, secret of using COVID vaccine, and suddenly the world forced them to transfer to India, to transfer to South Africa. So in the sense of international trade as the state of play, do you think that this kind of practice, this kind of request promote innovation or not? What if right now EU decided to transfer the technology of using vaccine to India, to South Africa? So will, let's say that the new wave of pandemic come into our world in the next 10 or 20 years, will the EU scientists be incentivized, be encouraged to innovate something new, to innovate something a big, to promote to save the people of the world? I think they might not, because what is the point of using something new? What is the point of posing so much effort, investing so much money to use something that finally you are forced to transfer to the other people? It's very nonsense. There is the question, okay? There's the question as well. Okay. The trade also allows you to gain from the access to the broader variety of goods and service. Again, very repetitive. So I think I don't want to recall again and again, but you can see the slide right here. Okay. Okay. Yeah, our topic this semester is trade negotiation. Why trade negotiation? What do we want? Okay, and what do we do exactly during trade negotiation? Okay, international trade versus commerce. Okay, when we talk about commerce, we refer to the exchange of goods and service at macro level between state, while international trade is the commercial transaction buying and selling at micro level between M&E, multinational enterprise, and also between M&E and state. So I want to make it clear that uh, uh, we decided to name our ministry as international or Ministry of Commerce because commerce goes beyond trade. Commerce goes beyond trade because commerce deal with the macro level. We do not only think about the exchange of goods and service, but we also think about economic policy. We think about environment. We think about education. We think about health. We think about variety of access or wider access by the people. To promote their culture, their other elements of strategy of other element of life, to make it simple. So commerce here cover a variety of sectors related to trade, but not about trade alone, because trade is only I sell to you, you give the money to me, I supply the service to you, you pay the fees to me. So that is all about international trade. It is all about trade. But commerce deal with something at the macro level. We think about society, we think about environment, we think about inflation rate, we think about monetary policy, we think about fiscal policy, we think about the public procurement. So all are in the macro level, macro sense, we call it international commerce. But international trade is just like commercial transaction, buying and selling goods at a micro level between M&E and between M&E and states. So remember that. So what is negotiation? Negotiation is just like you go to the market and then you bargain with the seller in order to lower down the price. That the price selling, we have our price floor, for example. So we have to pull the price selling back as low as to the price floor we wanted, while the seller always try to push up the price floor that is proposed by us to the point that is very closer to their price selling. So negotiation is the process of attempting to agree on a solution, compromising or setting on a mutually agreeable solution as a result of successful negotiation. Compromise is all about being flexible. It means being able to generate alternative solution when you have hit the wall. When you have hit the wall means when you reach the deadlock, you always have right solution. You always have alternative to provide the exit gateway. Negotiation is not a one-way approach. It is it is the compositions of many approach combined. If you cannot succeed in one certain approach, you have the other approach to reach the same goal. A good negotiator is the one that can produce many alternatives for the leader to decide. Let's say that the minister is the one that decides on a matter or on the outcome of negotiation, but the one that construct the pathway, they construct the element, that construct the substance of negotiation are trade negotiator, technical officer, including under Secretary of State, Director General, Deputy Director General, Director, Deputy Director. So they are all the technical people that generate the alternative, that always generate the option for the minister to choose which one is the best. Which one is the best. And trust me, if you want to be a very good and qualified official recognized by the minister, try to formulate as many options as possible, and each option must consist of logical explanation. Let's say that Minister, Excellency Minister, Your Excellency Minister Lok Chum Thieu, I think I have found 3 options for you to decide on the course of negotiation with North Korea, with South Korea. The first, we have to remove this and then get that. We have to liberalize this and then restrict this. So each option always attached with the logical explanation. Let's say that I think we have to ask for the market access for right, and we will open a market access for machinery for China. Why? Because China is the big consumer of agricultural goods, and China is also the potential supplier of machinery. And Cambodia is right now in the industrial revolution 4.0 that we need machinery supply. Okay, we open a lot of market for Chinese product, but the product that we gonna import from China must be the product that will supply our industry. Let's say that right now we have so many factories installed in town, also in the countryside. So when we allow the market access, we open the market access, let's say that put zero tariff rate on machinery item from China, of course, a lot of investors will be motivated to come to Cambodia. Because why? Because when they come to Cambodia, they can import machinery supply, machinery equipment from China, duty-free, quota-free under the CCFTA. So at the first glance, you realize that Cambodia opened too much market access for China. But if you look carefully, you analyze carefully, we only open for the item that we believe that when they flow into Cambodia, they also serve as the production capital. They also serve as the production equipment for us, okay, to serve in our industry. Okay, so we open, but we use it as the tool to promote our investment, to promote our production, our productivity in Cambodia. So we have to attach this kind of logical explanation in each option, and then minister will decide. That is what a good officer, trade negotiator should do. Okay, before they enter any negotiation with the foreign partner. Okay, foreign partner. I don't want to talk that far, but simply speaking, negotiation is the request and offer, give and take, common ground. Okay, meaning that I request, then you offer, I offer, you request. Okay, I give, you take, I take, you give. Okay, and then we finally find a common ground, a compromising point. Okay, between you and I. Okay, between us and them. Okay. Okay. International trade negotiation. It is mainly about negotiating market access for goods, service, and investment, and accompanying trade rule. Okay, so when we talk about international trade negotiation, we refer to the effort to get market access. Okay, a good negotiator is not the one that is very good at speaking English. A good negotiator is not the one who is good at convincing, using playful words, using good sense of humor. No, it is only the process oriented. A good negotiator is the one that can be used a big result, which is wide market access, bigger market access. We don't care how worse or how bad your English is. We don't care what degree you hold. We don't care how much experience you have had. But all we care is that how much you can get market access from your trade partner, from your foreign counterpart. Okay, the foreign counterpart. If you are so qualified, your team is so well equipped with English, with international trade expertise, let's say that. But finally, you could get only 2 additional % of tariff line related to the baseline. So what's the point of spending 2 or 3 years to negotiate with South Korea, with the US, with UK, while finally you got only 2% of tariff line, of tariff liberalization, compared to the baseline that you had no bilateral FTA as such. So the objective of trade negotiator is to expand market access. The more, the higher, the larger of market access you get, the more you are called a good negotiator. The more you win from the negotiation table. Okay, negotiation table. Okay. WTO member and non-WTO member. Okay. Setting global rule and liberalization, including multilateral system of the WTO. Okay. Trade liberalization and market integration within trade bloc and enhancing market access by establishing. I think it's very simple. Okay, but I just want to tell you that even though you are a member outside, you are not the member of the WTO, you still conduct trade negotiation. But your trade negotiation shall not be using the WTO commitment as the baseline, because you are not the member of the WTO. You are not a member of the WTO, so don't use the commitment that you have under the WTO as the baseline of negotiation. Okay, use the actual tariff line that you apply. Okay, but for the WTO member, you must use your WTO commitment, your specific commitment, your scheduled commitment as the baseline of negotiation. Okay, because if you go back to study Article 24, FTA exists, okay, only if the market liberalization under that FTA is higher than the commitment you made under the previous agreement, meaning the WTO. Okay, so you must create something more liberalized in the new agreement. Okay, new agreement. But that is in case you are the member. But if you are not a member of the WTO, no need to compare to the WTO commitment that you had, because you don't have the WTO commitment. You are not a member of the WTO. So choose the commitment that you committed so far under any other framework, okay, that is beyond the WTO, that is not inside the scope of the WTO. Okay, not the scope of the WTO. For example, Cambodia decided to create RCEP in order to build over the ASEAN-China FTA. And in order to build beyond ASEAN-China FTA and RCEP agreement, Cambodia even go further to Cambodia-China FTA. We liberalize, okay? We liberalize because we are the member of the WTO. We extend our commitment beyond the WTO commitment, beyond RCEP commitment, beyond ASEAN-China commitment to the Cambodia-China bilateral commitment. Okay. Okay. Key economic series of international trade. I think it's very easy. First one is absolute advantage. I don't want to talk. Let me skip it. Comparative advantage, AA and CA keep as well. Okay, but the other one is factor proportion model. It is also important, and also another important theory is mercantilism. Mercantilism. I don't know how to translate it in Khmer, but when we talk about international trade, nobody ignore, okay, the theory of mercantilism. Okay, so let me move. Okay, I think I don't want to repeat. Did you guys study this theory in your previous semester or in the other year, like let's say year 3, year 2? Okay, guys.
Yes, sure.
I think, yeah, I think it's very, repetitive. Let's say that year 2 you studied already, year 3 you already studied, and then year 4 semester 1 you already studied, and then come to study again in semester 2. I think it's very it's just like a waste of time, so I decided to skip. And don't worry, I think it's very simple. This one, everybody is familiar with that. Okay. Yes. Okay, so I skip absolute advantage theory and also comparative advantage theory. But for this one, I think I cannot skip because it also remarkable theory in international trade. Okay, in international trade, it say it is not possible for any country to have a competitive advantage in production of all goods. Trade occurs due to the difference of production technology. Even a technologically inferior country can benefit from free trade. Okay, developed country can compete against low wage industry in less developed countries. So I'm going to explain in the next slide here. So in the Ricardian assumption, okay, 2 country, 2 sector, 1 single factor production, labor, constant labor productivity, perfect competition. Not complex enough to examine income. So okay, wait. I think I missed one slide here. Maybe I remove. So basically speaking, Ricardian model here give the value of technology. Okay, we don't care how small you are, how small the country you are. We don't care how inferior you are. As long as you have technology, you can actually benefit from trade. But your trade might be a little than other if the other country have superior technology. Okay, but as long as you get a piece of pizza, that is the benefit from international trade. So Ricardian model, okay, we don't care about anything. We care all because that if you have advanced or if you have new technology, you have one additional asset to get the benefits to get higher benefit from international trade. It's very simple right here. Okay, it's very simple. But beyond that, okay, we have what we call factor proportion theory, or we call HOM model. The factor proportion theory is the theory designed by two important scholars. The first one is Mr. Philip Hessier, okay, a Swedish political economist and economic historian, and the other one is Mr. Bertil Gotthard Olin. Okay, he was also a Swedish economist and politician. He was a professor of economics at the Stockholm School of Economics, very famous school. Okay. So what did the model say about? Okay, in reality, trade is not. So he might be a little bit contradictory to the Ricardian model. Who value the technology than the other factor. But in HO model here, he said that in reality, trade is not just determined by technological difference, but it is also reflect the difference of factor endowment across country. Okay, the HO theory indicates that country will export products that use the abundant resource and also low cost factor of production, including labor, land, and capital, and import products that use country's scale factor. In the theory, so I don't want to go that far. Just to make it simple, in Ricardian model, we don't care too much about the factor production. We don't care about anything. We only care about the fact that when you have technology, you can generate the benefit of international trade. We don't care how much resource you have. We don't care how much labor supply you have, but all we care is that with technology, we can actually gain higher benefit, superior benefit compared to the other country that have inferior technology. However, in the HO model here, he does not reject the Ricardian model that value the technology, but here he add further that technology is not only the one that determines the trends of international trade here, but the other factor production can also determine more accurately the advantage that you get from international trade, especially the labor, the land, and capital. These are the resource, or we call factor endowment. Okay, factor endowment. If you have technology but you don't have labor supply, if you have technology but you don't have enough capital, you don't have land, how can you ensure that you can have this smooth production of certain item, smooth transportation of certain item? Okay, of course technology is good, but we cannot always rely or give a very utopian view, too much utopian view on the technology. We need the basic resource. We need the basic factor of production, especially labor, land, and capital. Okay, labor, land, and capital. So to make it simple, Ricardian theory, value technology, HO model, value factor production. Okay, simple as that. Okay? Don't go too far. Don't complicate yourself. Does everyone in country gain from trade? In anybody can tell me whether everyone gain from trade? Whether, or even the banker, even the vendor, even the other people who are doing unofficial job, unofficial career, whether they also gain from international trade? Of course they gain, but at a very marginal level. But in your perspective, do you think that everyone in the country gain from trade? Anybody can give your opinion?
I think most people gain, teacher.
Most people gain?
The teacher. For some certain people, they might not.
For example?
International trade may suffer the domestic producer who compete with the product that is imported by other country. Like for example, Cambodian farmer, they might suffer from the imported consumer goods that imported from Vietnam or Thailand, teacher.
Yes. Good as well. Anybody have any more idea regarding? It is a very good explanation anyway, but I want to have more perspective from our student here. Anybody have any idea? Or everybody gain from trade, but only at different level? We'll just support the statement. Come on.
Yes, sure. I also think that not all not every actors actually gain from trade. For instance, if trade creates specialization in that country, then the factor of productions that are needed the most will be the one who receive the benefits, while the factor of productions that are not actually required for specialization will also receive negative effect.
Yes. Okay. Yes, not everybody gain from trade. Some are at the marginal ends of the international trade. Some are at the horizontal gain or vertical gain from international trade. I think very technical term, but you're gonna learn along the way. Yeah. So let me go to the slide. Yeah. No. Okay. No. Not everybody gain from international trade. For example, according to the model 8O model that I just explained a moment ago, he suggests that there are winner and loser from international trade. Within each country, owner of the abundant factor gain and the owner of the other factor lose from trade liberalization. Okay, very simple. However, aggregate welfare increase in both countries. Okay, so as I said, everybody win. Everybody gain a small piece, a piece of pizza, but some piece of pizza is divided into two. So you gain as well, but you gain to a point that is relatively smaller than the other point. So you assume yourself as the loser of international trade, but in fact, you're also the winner. You in fact are also the winner in the aggregate term, okay, aggregate welfare, okay, because we get a sums of gain that exceed the sum of individual lose, okay? Individual lose, okay. In principle, loser could be compensated at a national level, okay. However, this requires separate distribution policy to make everyone better off. I think it's very hard for developing country like Cambodia, like other state. The redistribution policy is not always guaranteed. Okay, even though we try to enact a fiscal policy, let's say during the COVID-19. Okay, when we block our country, when our production no longer work, the government decided to find a policy that the government want to compensate the people that suffer from the COVID-19, the loss, okay, the one that lost from the one that lose the income during the COVID-19. But at the same time, okay, the government is also promoting, some of the people who also still get from international. Let's say that we provide take holiday for hotel, we provide take holiday for tourism sector. Okay, of course, the government try to make a balance, okay, between the government factory worker and also the people in the industry that are mostly impacted by the COVID-19. But if you check carefully, these people do not gain equally. They gain, but they do not gain equally. So even we have distribution policy, we cannot guarantee that we provide everybody fairly or fair advantage. Okay? They all get increasing size of the pizza, but when they compare their size of pizza to the other size of the pizza of the other people, they feel that they are the loser. Let's say the factory worker. I don't need to go to work. I get the money. Okay, I can, I feel that I am right now equal to the other people in the market. But when they know that the people who own the hotel, the people who own the restaurant are not obliged to pay any tax. Okay, or they even got incentive by the government. Okay, in terms of other policy. Then they realize that, oh my God, I'm not the only one that got the benefits. Okay, I don't know what to say, but it is in the theory of realism. People are greedy. We are always self-interested. Even though we gain, we feel that we are the one that lose when we compare our gain relatively smaller to the other people gain. Okay, that is the basic assumption of human being. Everybody is greedy. Everybody is not enough. Even I myself. Okay, I feel that right now I'm far much better than you. Okay, I have property, I have good job, I have degree. But if I compare to the other people, well, right now at my same level, at high level, at the same age but high level, I feel that I'm the loser. Okay. So we are not, and do not blame ourselves. Do not blame these people in the example right here, because it's the basic attachment of nature. Why do we create traffic law? Traffic law is just like paper. But the law, anybody can mute your microphones because it's very annoying here. Okay. Traffic law is of course the paper law, the law that is promulgated by the king. Okay. But the traffic law in practice is the traffic light. Okay. Traffic light. Why do we need to translate traffic law in traffic light? Because even though we have traffic law, okay, without the light, people still not respect any law. Okay. We know that people are greedy. People along the way at the crossroad, they always want to go first. Even though you put okay, the law right there, people will be still, I want to go first. I want to go first. But with the traffic light, okay, we replace traffic light as from traffic law. Okay, because we rely that people, okay, will not respect the traffic law due to the greedy human nature. Okay, due to the greedy human nature. Okay, and there are many other examples that the government decided to translate the law into something that people can see. Because if they don't respect the thing that they can see, they will face consequences. If you still go in the red light, you will be hit by others. Okay? But if no light, if there is only law, your greed will overtake the law because law does not exist. It is only the paper. That is why we got a traffic light. If you go in the red light, you will be crushed. You will be hit by the other. Okay. So the government decided to manage the human nature, the greedy human nature, by translating something that is on the other paper into something realistic, and then attach with the consequences out there. Okay. The prison, we got the handicap. Okay, to show that when you break the law, when you break something that is written in a paper, you will face consequences. Okay. It's very simple, but it's a very logical explanation anyway. Okay, that we translate okay the law into something that people can see in order to diminish the level of greed, the level of negative human nature. Okay, because we hardly believe something that we never see, we never hear, but we feel deterred by something that we see with the consequences. Okay. Okay. In reality, most of trade occur between similar countries. Furthermore, between one quarter and one half of the world trade is intra-industry trade. That is trade between goods that fall in the same industrial classification. Okay, so the age-old model and the Ricardian model fail to explain the intra-industry trade, which rely on the economy of scale. Okay, anybody know the economy of scope and economy of scale? Economy of scope we refers to the let me recall it. Let me clarify it a bit because I also got confused between economy of scale and economy of scope here. So yeah, economy of scale is just like something when we use more. Okay. Economy of scope or economy of scale is the situation during which when one economy produce one certain item at a larger amount, the production cost will become lower. Okay. Economy of scale, we care about the ability to produce something in a variety of sectors, okay, in many scope. Okay. But in a scale, we don't care about the sector. We only care about one important sector. And when we produce more, when we are trying to produce more in the same sector, okay, intra-industry, the same sector, it is of course producing efficiency. Okay. Let's say that if you produce only 2 bread, okay, you will spend a lot. But if you produce 10 bread and then next day 100 bread, okay, let's say that your specialization increase, okay, and your production, yeah, your production also increase, but your specialization increase. That is, your cost of production will decrease. I don't know how to explain in economic term, but និយាយខ្លីទៅអា economy of scale នៅពេលដែលយើងផលិតអីបានកាន់តែច្រើនគឺអា production cost របស់យើងកាន់តែតិចពីព្រោះ specialization របស់យើងវា increase ពេលវេលាដែលយើងផលិតផល2ពីមុនយើងប្រើពេលប៉ុណ្ណេះប៉ុន្តែឥឡូវយើងផលិតផល 20ផលិតផលតែមួយ the same line ឯងពីព្រោះយើងត្រូវ specialize ជំនាញនៃការផលិតលើផលិតផលហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងពីមុន2ផលិតម៉ោងតែឥឡូវផលិត20ផលិតតែ5ម៉ោង100ផលិតតែ6ម៉ោងអញ្ចឹងដល់ពេលយើងគិតទៅ2យើងផលិត6ម៉ោងប៉ុន្តែដល់ពេល100យើងផលិតតែ6ម៉ោងអញ្ចឹងមានន័យថាយើងផលិតកាន់តែច្រើនproduction cost របស់យើងកាន់តែតិចថយចុះកាន់តែតិចដោយសារតែ specialization យើងវាកើនឡើងបើនិយាយភាសាសាមញ្ញគឺអានច្រើនចេះច្រើនអញ្ចឹងផលិតអានឹងកាន់តែច្រើន specialization ហើយ resource យើង attention របស់យើងឬក៏ factor ផ្សេងទៀតដែលនៅក្នុងហ្នឹងគឺវា focus វានៅតែក្នុងវិស័យហ្នឹងតែមួយយើងអត់បែកឆ្វេងទេអញ្ចឹងវាធ្វើឲ្យមានការផលិត economic scale របស់យើងវាមានលក្ខណៈសក្តានុពលជាងមុន I don't know how to explain in economic term because I'm not economic people but that is the meanings of economic of scale okay because the 8O model they don't care about the economic scale they only care about the economic scope we need the factor production we need technology we need labor and so on but we don't care what if we only use one certain item okay and then promote the number of production of that certain item in the same industry and then we can actually reuse the productivity cost production cost okay and also the create or increase the efficiency of production as well I don't know how to explain but that is the critique of the 8O model and Rickden model because they fail to explain okay, the aspect of intra-industry. They only think about the comparison of inter-industry that's that between producing car, between producing car and producing motorbike, between producing rubber and producing plastic. Okay, so they only compare between intersector okay, in order to find which one is the most efficient. But they fail to look at the economy of scale. What if we only focus on producing one certain sector, and it will increase okay, our specialization, and then it will reduce okay, the cost of production and so on. Okay, so that's the critique of the theory of Mr. Ricardo and also 8O model here. We call 8O model and Ricardian model. I don't know និយាយទៅខ្ញុំមិនដឹងថាបញ្យល់មិនឲ្យវាស្រួលយល់ឲ្យវាចាប់ន័យបានពីព្រោះអានេះវានៃសេដ្ឋកិច្ចហើយយើងមានជំនាញសេដ្ឋកិច្ចប៉ុន្តែគ្រាន់អានេះជាទ្រឹស្ដីឲ្យយើងយល់បន្តបន្សំទេថាeconomy of scale ហ្នឹងមិន economy of scope ហ្នឹងមិនហើយទ្រឹស្ដីហ្នឹងវាមិនគ្រាន់តែថាពីរហ្នឹងវាដូចតែគ្នាទេគ្រាន់ថាមួយឲ្យតម្លៃទៅលើ technology ហើយ8O model ហ្នឹងឲ្យតម្លៃទៅលើ factor production endowment ប៉ុន្តែទាំងពីរហ្នឹងគឺអត់បាន care អំពីwhat if we only use one certain sector and then promote economy of scale គេអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំអត់ចង់ទៅវែងឆ្ងាយនេះពីព្រោះទទួលស្គាល់ that is my limit as well in the economic theory but I used to give you the nutshell explanation in the two series right here and also the critique right here because I want to focus more on law okay because law is much better to understand right now okay and economy of scale ខ្ញុំបញ្យល់មិញហ្នឹងគឺ reduction of per unit cost through an increase of production volume មានន័យថានៅពេលដែលយើងផលិតបានកាន់តែច្រើនគឺយើងper unit cost របស់យើងហ្នឹងកាន់តែថយចុះ reduct គេ reduce អញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំអត់ចង់បញ្យល់អីវែងឆ្ងាយទៅវែងឆ្ងាយហ្នឹងគឺcomplicated ហើយប៉ុន្តែយល់តែប៉ុណ្្នឹងយល់ថានៅពេលដែលផលិតកាន់តែច្រើនគឺper unit cost របស់យើងកាន់តែធ្លាក់ចុះអូខេអញ្ចឹង increase production volume គឺ per unit cost របស់យើងវាធ្លាក់ចុះអញ្ចឹងมันគេជំរុញថាបើអ្នកឯងផលិតអីមួយអ្នកឯងផលិតអានឹងប្រឹងអានឹងទៅដើម្បីកុំឲ្យអ្នកឯងបែកឆ្វេងហើយឲ្យ specialize អ្នកឯងហ្នឹងវាស្រួចគេដូចខ្ញុំនិយាយមិញអញ្ចឹងគឺនំប៉័ង2ផលិតម៉ោងតែនំប៉័ង10ផលិតតែប្រហែល3ម៉ោងទេអញ្ចឹងបើយើងគិតកណនីទៅផលិត10ចំណាយពេល3ម៉ោងហើយអា2ចំណាយពេល1ម៉ោងគឺអា10វាចំណេញជាងអញ្ចឹងផលិតតែបាន100ទៅវាកាត់បន្ថយម៉ោងហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងវា specialize on only one sector intra industry នឹងជាផលប្រយោជន៍បានមកពី economy of scale គេអញ្ចឹងគេអត់ចង់ទៅវែងឆ្ងាយអញ្ចឹងវាសិតតែនេះគេអញ្ចឹងយើងមកមើលកន្លែងនេះគឺជា summary of the gain from trade different countries gain from specialization based on different technology among countries especially based on the Rickedian model and according to the 8O model different the state to get from the in relative endowment of factor production គេអញ្ចឹងនៅពេលដែលយើងមាន factor production បានកាន់តែច្រើនមានដីច្រើនមានលុយ capital ច្រើនមូលធនច្រើនមាន labor supply ច្រើនគឺនោះហើយគឺយើងទទួលបានផលប្រយោជន៍ពីការធ្វើពាណិជ្ជកម្មបើយើងគិតតែធ្វើពាណិជ្ជកម្មប៉ុន្តែ technology យើងអត់មាន crystal resident យើងអត់មានទេ labor ក៏យើងនៅខ្សោយយើងបើកច្រកទីផ្សារគឺវាអត់មានបានប្រយោជន៍ទេដោយសារតែយើងនឹងខ្លាចទៅជា loser of international trade យើងបើកឲ្យគេហើយយើង consume របស់គេទាំងអស់ដោយសារអត់មាន capital អត់មាន land ក្នុងការផលិតអត់មាន people ដើម្បីឲ្យជួយជំរុញការផលិតទេអញ្ចឹងទូទៅជាលក្ខណៈសង្ខេបគឺតែពេលដែលយើងមានtechnology ដើម្បីឲ្យ gain ពី technology ពី trade អូខេ to gain from trade យើងត្រូវតែមានទាំង technology ទាំង production endowment អូខេហើយបើសិនជានៅរវាង between similar country អានេះយើងប្រើ economy of scale អញ្ចឹងយើងគួរតែផលិតអ្វីដែលមានលក្ខណៈដែលយើង specialize in order to use to reduce the production cost គេចឹងខ្ញុំអត់ចង់ទៅវែងឆ្ងាយទេគេយើងកាត់ក្តីយល់ដើម្បីទៅចូលមេរៀនខ្លឹមរបស់យើងអានេះគ្រាន់តែជាការ recall ជា basic theory of international trade international economy ទេអ្វីដែលខ្ញុំចង់ផ្ដោតនេះគឺមេរៀនបន្តិចខាងមុខទៀតគឺតកតងទៅនឹង anti dumping subsidy safeguard តកតងនេះដែរប៉ុន្តែគ្រាន់ថាយើងចូល law វិញពីព្រោះខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យស្រួលចូលខាងច្បាប់វិញដោយសារតែយើងឃើញជាក់ស្ដែងហ្នឹងសូម្បីតែថ្ងៃមុនសម្ដេចតរដ្ឋមន្ត្រីមួយហ្នឹងហូបផាំងពេញហ្នឹងហើយយើងឃើញបានអានព័ត៌មានហ្នឹងគឺសុទ្ធតែតកតងច្បាប់ជាងទ្រឹស្ដីសេដ្ឋកិច្ចបាទសម្ដេចហើយបើសម្ដេចបារម្ភថាបើធ្វើអញ្ចឹងវាខុសច្បាប់ហើយវាធ្វើឲ្យប៉ះពាល់ដល់អតិផរណារបស់កម្ពុជានៅពេលដែលយើងបិទការនាំចូលជ្រូកបិទការដេញថ្លៃវាបាត់បង់តម្លាភាពអញ្ចឹងសុទ្ធតែចេញមកពីច្បាប់ហើយសម្ដេចលោកបារម្ភត្រង់ថាវៀតណាមធ្លាប់ប្តឹងជាមួយ EU ប្រហែលកាលនេះហើយវៀតណាមធ្លាប់ប្តឹងជាមួយប្រទេសផ្សេងដូចជាជាមួយចិនម្ដងខ្ញុំអត់ចាំទេប៉ុន្តែដូចជានឹងម្ដងប្រទេសហ្នឹងវៀតណាមគេធ្លាប់ប្រើប្រាស់ appellate body គេប្រើប្រាស់ panel គេប្រើប្រាស់ dispute settlement body as a whole របស់ WTO ហ្នឹងគេប្រើច្រើនដងហើយយើងមិនដែលប្រើទេដល់ពេលប្រើយន្តការបិទការនាំចូលពីវៀតណាមនាំចូលជ្រូកហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងសម្ដេចលោកបារម្ភត្រង់ថាវាប៉ះពាល់ដំណើរការទូផងហើយបើសិនជាវៀតណាមប្តឹងយើងបនកធ្វើអីចេញទេហើយយើងតែមានភ័ស្តុតាងទៅបង្ហាញគេថាយើងបិទដោយសារតែតម្រូវការក្នុងស្រុកយើងវាហូរហៀទាំងគេមកដល់ស្រុកខ្មែររកត្រីរកជ្រូកឬអីមិនបានជ្រូកសិតតែថ្លៃជ្រូកសិតតែមិនត្រូវស្តង់ដាជ្រូកសិតតែប្រើថ្នាំអញ្ចឹងអាហ្នឹងជាសិតតែជាភ័ស្តុតាងដែលដាក់បន្ទុកយើងកាន់តែថែមហើយទៅចាំថានៅក្នុងការការពារក្តីនៅពេលដែលភ័ស្តុតាងយើងសម្បូរទៅដោយវិមន្ទិលសង្ស័យbeyond the doubt something that still has doubt បានន័យថាចៅក្រមគេកាត់សេចក្តីឲ្យ favor មកខាងយើងទេខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់ហើយអាហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងត្រូវតែមានភ័ស្តុតាងដែលជាក់លាក់ដែលមិនមានវិមតិសង្ស័យគេមិនមានការសង្ស័យណាមួយកើតពីព្រោះភ័ស្តុតាងដែលសុក្រិត 100% គឺចៅក្រមគេនឹងយកជាសម្អាងដើម្បីឲ្យយើងឈ្នះក្តីបានប៉ុន្តែបើនៅតែមានវិមតិសង្ស័យភ័ស្តុតាងហ្នឹងគេនឹងបោះបង់ចោលហើយគេឲ្យយើងចាញ់ចឹងបានសម្ដេចលោកបារម្ភហើយគាត់សុខចិត្តនិយាយគម្រាមដល់រដ្ឋមន្ត្រីមួយនៅទីណាដើម្បីបង្ហាញថាយើងត្រូវបិទការនាំចូលយើងលឺខ្ញុំនិយាយអត់
No teacher
លឺតែអត់សូវច្បាស់
ដាច់ teacher
Hello guys
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so sorry. Anybody can hear me well?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, សុំទោសមិញហ្នឹងគឺអ៊ីនធឺណិតវាដាច់ហើយកំពុងតែនិយាយរឿងជ្រូករឿងអីហ្នឹងព្រោះយើងបានដឹងคลิปហ្នឹងទៅសម្រាប់តែនិយាយខាងមុនហ្នឹងណាស្ដាប់ទាំងអស់គ្នាទៅមានបានតាមដានព័ត៌មានហ្នឹងអត់ហើយសិតតែជារឿងដែលយើងត្រូវដឹងបាទខ្ញុំសប្បាយចិត្តដែលខ្ញុំក៏ប៉ុន្តែខ្ញុំនៅក្នុងក្រុមការងារជ្រូកក្រុមការងារត្រីហ្នឹងដែរហើយយើងធ្វើការយូរហើយតាក់ទងទៅនឹងបញ្ហាហ្នឹងហើយខាងក្រសួងខ្ញុំមិនចង់លូកដៃទេពីព្រោះយើងដឹងថាមានរឿងអីនៅពីក្រោយហើយតែពេលយើងលូកដៃគឺយើងយកវិធានច្បាប់មកដាក់ហើយតែយើងយកមកដាក់គឺនឹងរាយការណ៍ជូនដល់សម្ដេចអញ្ចឹងហើយនៅពេលដែលយើងរាយការណ៍នៅពេលដែលយើងលើកជាយោបល់ក្នុងប្រជុំហើយគេនៅតែមិនអនុវត្តហើយយើងរាយការណ៍តាក់ទងទៅនឹងវិធានហ្នឹងជូនដល់សម្ដេចហើយបានសម្ដេចលោកទទួលបានព័ត៌មានហើយក៏ប៉ុន្តែលោកដឹងប៉ុន្តែគ្រាន់លោកចង់បានចំហពីក្រសួងកម្មពីក្រសួងសេដ្ឋកិច្ចឯហ្នឹងដល់ពេលយើងបានចំហរួមជាមួយក្រសួងសេដ្ឋកិច្ចថាវិធានដែលយើងរដ្ឋបတ်ការនាំចូលជ្រូកពីវៀតណាមហ្នឹងវាខុសច្បាប់អន្តរជាតិសម្ដេចយកហេតុផលរបស់យើងហ្នឹងទៅតតែម្ដងអញ្ចឹងសប្បាយចិត្តត្រង់ថាគាត់យកទៅនេះប្រើហើយនិយាយសាធារណៈតែម្ដងថាយើងមិនអាចបិទការនាំចេញបិទការនាំចូលតាមតែចិត្តបានទេពីព្រោះយើងជាសមាជិក WTO យើងជាសមាជិករបស់កិច្ចព្រមព្រៀង AFTA យើងជាសមាជិករបស់កិច្ចព្រមព្រៀង ASEP ដែលមានកាតព្វកិច្ចក្នុងការបើកច្រកទីផ្សារគេយើងមិនអាចធ្វើតាមចិត្តបានទេ I feel so happy to see that the WTO is very relevant in our decision making of Cambodia. What is zero-sum game? Okay, trade is a zero-sum game. So what does it mean? Zero-sum game mean I gain, you lose. Okay, you are the space that you lose equal to the space of my gain. Zero-sum game is not two slices of pizza. It is one slice of pizza that one lose equal the other gain. Okay, simple. Gold, silver leads to nation wealth. To do so, a country has to export more and import less. អញ្ចឹងនៅពេលដែលយើងមាន gold និង silver នៅក្នុងច្រើនគឺសម័យក្នុងឆ្នាំ1800ជាងក្នុងសម័យដាណានិគមហ្នឹងគឺប្រទេសនីមួយៗជំរុញឲ្យមានការនាំចេញបាទជំរុញឲ្យមានការនាំចេញហើយគាត់ទទួលបានវិញគឺ saving គឺ gold និង silver នៅពេលដែលគាត់មាន gold និង silver ក្នុងដៃគឺពេលដែលមានវិបត្តិផ្សេងគេចាំ
Teacher, we cannot hear you well.
បញ្ហារុស្ស៊ីមើលដែរតើរុស្ស៊ីទៅរហូតជុំគ្នាយើងឮអត់គ្នាយើង Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, so. Oh, wait the near man. Open it. Okay, sorry guys. Okay. Then wait. Hello. Sorry guys. Hello, everybody. You hear me now? Sorry, my internet is so poor. Hello, confirm me.
Yes,
Yes,
teacher,
I can
yes.
hear you.
Okay. Oh my God, I feel so distracted. I don't know why why we come to live with technology dependency again. I promise with you guys in the last semester that we would be able to come back to the physical classing, but right now again come to the online. I feel so disturbed with the technology distraction here. Okay, so let me show the slide once again. Wait. Okay, you guys see the slide right now?
Yes,
Yes,
teacher.
cha.
Okay. Yeah, so mercantilism means that state always think about reserving the capital, reserving the gold, reserving the silver in their reserve, market reserve, in order to be to retain a power when there is crisis. Okay, for example, even during the Ukraine crisis with Russia here, they decided to check. I mean, some country decided to check the market. I mean, the gold reserve of Russia, okay, before they post any sanction on Russian economy, because they want to know whether the Russian economy, when they face sanction, they will be severely hit or not. Okay. Some say that no, Russian economy will not be severely hit by the sanction on the marketplace in Russia, because Russia still have a very strong gold and silver reserve in the market. Okay, in the market. So even now, not in the past, but even now, okay, the holding of gold and silver in the foreign reserve market is also the way to keep your power when there is crisis. Okay, when there is crisis. Okay. However, this kind of theory of mercantilism is the source of protectionism. Why? Because this theory promotes countries to export more than import. They will try to do whatever mechanism, whatever mean to reduce import and then increase or promote the export to the most potential level. Okay. The country need to have trade surplus and avoid trade deficit. The strategy is called protectionist policy, and it is still used nowadays by the most developed countries like Japan, China, Singapore, Taiwan economy, US, and also EU. Protectionist policy, or we call neo-mercantilism, favor export and discourage import. As the key industry in economy. Okay, so in order to promote export and import, country need to provide domestic subsidy to the local producer, local production network, local supply chain, in order to be used more, in order to dominate in the global market rather than depending on the import. So what if all countries think about only export, but never motivate to import more? Protectionism policy. The US decided to China decided to impose, and Canada decided to create non-tariff barrier in order restrict the import in order to promote its export. So if all superpower think about retaining their position in the global market by being always the exporter rather than the importer, there will be the crisis in the global market. Why? Because there is no motivation of trade, because we only wish to export but we don't wish to import. Okay, so we are right now innovative in creating barrier, not finding a way to remove barrier. Okay, because we always want to impose barrier, then restrict import from barrier. Okay, so the world will be full of innovation of barrier. I create new technology and then I impose as the barrier to international trade. I create new measure, let's say that I create new mechanism, new procedure that I will restrict the import of goods and service. So everybody is very innovative in creating barrier, because one, they want to reserve their power, their position in international trade. If Russia always depend on export or always depend on uh, uh, import, let's say that, what if one day the world is ready to impose, sanction on Russia, so Russia cannot use iPhone. Okay, let's say that this morning, the iPhone company in the US that has the production base in the US decided to block the supplies of iPhone into Russian market. Okay, what if Russia did not depend on iPhone long ago? Okay, if Russia used only its own phone, not depend on the iPhone product, the sanction or the withdrawal of the iPhone supply from Russia did not impact Russia at all. Okay. But here, because the intertwining interdependency theory that Russia depend on the US depend on Russia, so any sanction will hurt Russia because Russia is not completely self-reliant. But what if one day Russia rely completely on export, meaning Russia export more, so the rest of the world always demand the raw material or the good from Russia. So if you impose something on Russia, it means that you impose your own consumer. Okay, you impose sanctions on your own consumer. So if EU impose sanctions on Russia, who depend on export, the one that is hurt the most is European people because they cannot get access to food or to other material that are supplied from Russia because right now Russia faces sanctions. So instead, right now decided to find whatever possible way to promote export and then reuse import. So this kind of motivation leads to the creation of new barrier that fall into the ambit of protectionism theory, protectionism policy, called by companionism. In trade theory, we call it companionism. Mà người ta call by that ធ្វើយ៉ាងណាគឺប្រតិបត្តិការនាំចេញការនាំចូលកុំឲ្យច្រើនជាងនាំចេញដើម្បី remain our position in the market កាលពីមុនគឺរក្សាទុកមាសហើយនឹង silver នៅលើ market ដើម្បីទទួលបាន retain our position retain our wealth នៅពេលដែលយើងមានបញ្ហាគេថាមានបញ្ហាគឺយើងមានមាសមានទំនុកបំរុងប៉ុន្តែឥឡូវអត់ទេគឺអាហ្នឹងក៏នៅមានប្រហែលដែរប៉ុន្តែឥឡូវគេប្រើយន្តការ protectionism ដែលថាកុំពឹងផ្អែកលើការនាំចូលខ្លាំងពេកដោយករណី COVID ការណាពឹងផ្អែកលើការនាំចូលនៅពេលដែលគេបិទទីផ្សារដាច់ដង្ហើមយើងដាច់ដង្ហើមត្រង់ថាយើងត្រូវតែពឹងផ្អែកលើការនាំចូលហ្នឹងដល់ពេលឡើយគេមិនឲ្យយើងញ៉ាំអស់ឲ្យញ៉ាំប៉ុន្តែបើយើងពឹងផ្អែកលើការនាំចេញឲ្យច្រើនជាងការនាំចូលពិភពលោកពិបាកនឹងដាក់ sanction លើយើងណាមិនបានពិបាកនឹងដាក់ sanction ដោយសារតែនៅពេលដែលគេដាក់ sanction លើយើងគឺវាពួកគេនោះទេដែលជាអ្នកជួប consequences ប៉ុតអត់អាហារញ៉ាំគេប្រេងឡើងថ្លៃបើសិនជាពួកអាមេរិកពួក EU ឥឡូវអាមេរិកទើបតែបញ្ចេញ oil reserve ឯដោយសារហ្នឹងគាត់ហ៊ានដាក់ sanction លើ Russia ដោយសារតែគាត់មាន oil reserve ប៉ុន្តែឥឡូវបើសិនជាគាត់មិនមាន oil reserve មិនមានប្រេងបំរុងនៅអាមេរិកនៅកាណាដានៅ EU ទេអញ្ចឹងពួកគាត់មិនហ៊ានដាក់ economic sanction លើ oil production របស់រុស្ស៊ីទេទោះបីជារុស្ស៊ីឈ្លានពានអ៊ុយក្រែនក៏មិនអាចដាក់បានដែរដោយសារអីដោយសារតែដាក់ទៅនេះធ្វើមកពួកគាត់ចឹងដាក់ទៅនេះដាច់ដៃដៃជើងរបស់អាមេរិករបស់ EU ចឹងអញ្ចឹងមិនន័យថាឡើយគេព្យាយាមpromote export image របស់គេឲ្យបានខ្ពស់ដើម្បីជា retain power retain position ជា neo mechanism ខ្ញុំលែង reserve good ខ្ញុំលែង reserve មិនសូវខ្វល់ច្រើនឬ reserve good ប៉ុន្តែខ្ញុំ reserve position របស់ខ្ញុំគឺតាមរយៈ export នៅពេលដែលខ្ញុំ export រហូត10 20ឆ្នាំក្រោយមកនៅពេលដែលគេចង់ដាក់ sanction ក៏មិនងាយដាក់ដែរពីព្រោះនៅពេលដែលគេដាក់គឺគេចងដៃខ្លួនឯងគេធ្វើបាបខ្លួនឯងអញ្ចឹងចំគឺពិបាកក្នុងការដាក់ sanction អញ្ចឹងបានអាមេរិកគាត់មិនពិបាកដាក់ទេដោយសារតែទោះបីជាគាត់ធ្លាប់ពឹងប្តេងពីរុស្ស៊ីពីប្រទេស OPEC ពីប្រទេសអីមិនប៉ុន្តែគាត់មាន reserve oil របស់គាត់អញ្ចឹងគាត់អាចដាក់ sanction លើរុស្ស៊ីបានអញ្ចឹងប្រេងអាចថ្លៃនៅលើពិភពលោកប៉ុន្តែនៅក្នុងទឹកដីអាមេរិកនៅក្នុងសម្ព័ន្ធមិត្តអាមេរិកគឺមិនថ្លៃទេដោយសារតែគាត់មាន reserve oil reserve អញ្ចឹងវាដូចតែ mercantilism ដែលគេត្រូវ reserve អីមួយដើម្បីទទួលបាន power នៅពេលដែលមាន crisis អា neo mercantilism ច្រឡំ realism neo mercantilism ឬក៏ protectionist policy នេះគឺជាវិធានការគ្រប់បែបយ៉ាងដើម្បីធានាថាខ្លួនមានអំណាចក្នុងការនាំចេញជាងការនាំចូលមិនពឹងការនាំចូលជាងការនាំចេញប៉ុន្តែពឹងការនាំចេញជាងការនាំចូលអញ្ចឹង sanction មួយណាដែលគេដាក់លើប្រទេសហ្នឹងបើថាគេដាក់លើប្រទេសបើថា sanction ធ្វើបាបប្រទេសដែលដាក់ហ្នឹងទេមិនធ្វើបាបប្រទេសដែលពឹងលើការនាំចេញទេនេះហើយជាមូលហេតុដែលប្រទេសគ្រប់គ្នាកំពុងតែជំរុញវិធានការធ្វើយ៉ាងណាឲ្យខ្លួននឹងខ្លាចជាអ្នកនាំចេញពីព្រោះនៅពេលដែល position យើងនាំចេញរហូតគឺ sanction អត់សូវប៉ះពាល់យើងខ្លាំងទេអត់សូវប៉ះពាល់យើងខ្លាំងទេប៉ុន្តែបើយើងពឹងតែការនាំចូល resource គឺនៅខាងក្រៅទាំងអស់លុយនៅយើងប៉ុន្តែ resource នៅខាងក្រៅយើងមានលុយប៉ុន្តែអត់មាន resource អត់មានធនធានដែលយើងត្រូវការហ្នឹងទេអញ្ចឹងនៅពេលគេបិទអស់លេយើងមានលុយទិញប្រដាប់តេស្ត COVID ប៉ុន្តែយើងអត់មានប្រដាប់តេស្ត COVID គេអត់ supply មកទេ dương mình lôi tinh vạ sang phần tay cả lộ vạ sang rồi thế anh chăng bên này ấy anh chăng neo mechanism promote state in the world who whose the export position more than import position chẳng simple đấy vậy thì chẳng ở đây trong trong ví dụ session khối cái adjustment core này ở bà thế về riêng smart smart tích phần tay trong chỉ dùng ví dụ còn ao ví dụ trong này sẽ được cái thì bây giờ ai lên tranh lên nhắm bài thì cho nhôm còn toàn nhắm bài đã xong rồi nhắm bài đã thì chăm mong bật là chăm chỗ mình okay are you fine guys
Yes, teacher.
Yes,
okay
teacher.
yes see you
Thank you, teacher.
Okay, guys, so welcome back. So we got only 2 more slides to go. Wait,
Excuse me, like,
yes, come on.
by the way, you haven't accept me into
Oh.
the Microsoft yet. Microsoft team.
Really?
Yes, yes.
Okay. But why can't you come here?
I don't know.
Ah,
People invite me in this meeting most of the
oh,
time when we study.
okay. Let me go to find you. E4.4. Wait, I'm very poor at technology. Okay. General, and then well, I try to find. Okay, member here, manage team. Okay, pending request. Oh, that it?
Yes, like.
Okay. You are still outside of the room. Okay, you are still in the pending request list, and also the who only how. Okay, sorry, I apologize for that. Okay, I accept it now. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
reminding
like.
me. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, guys. So let us go to the last 3 slides. Wait. I try to go so fast because I think it's kind of just recalling what you studied so far, so I don't want to waste time on that. For the last session, I'm gonna give you some general discussion on the new subject. Okay, I think very relevant for you to know. Okay. Okay, so go back to our slide now. Okay. Yeah. Of course, because of the spillover effect of the mercantilism policy, right now we got the new versions of this doctrine, which is called protectionist policy or neo-mercantilism policy. Neo means new, means something that is new. So we still prefer something to reserve. For example, in the past, we reserve holding of gold and holding of silver to lead to urbanization world. But right now, we reserve our export capacity, export position to ensure that we will not be facing any hardship during the economic crisis. For example, during the COVID-19, during the war, during the diplomatic backlash between any superpower, we are always safe when we are the one that rely on export more than import. Okay, because we have our product in our hand. Okay, even though we cannot export, we still can mobilize our resource in our country, and then we can actually safeguard our people health, our people consumption. But you only have money, and then all the resources are outside of your market sphere. And then you always need the other people, the other country to import into your country, to export into your country, so your people can consume. Okay, so it's very kind of import reliant. We don't want that. Okay, in the new era right here, we want something that is export oriented, so the power is at our side. We are the one that decide on a matter of market, no longer depend on the import anymore. It depends, but not that much compared to the export. Okay. To restrict international trade, as we studied in semester 1. Sometimes the government restricts trade in order to protect industry and also to create job, to ensure the job not to be threatened by the import competition. Okay, so only favor the foreign good. It means that you do not allow any space for your domestic industry to use to run on its own. And then when you don't use space to the domestic industry, it means that you also pay to the employment opportunity for the people who labor in your local production network. Is more you have, the more you exist, the more you open the space for the local producer to operate in your market, the more you open the employment opportunity for your people, for your labor market. Okay, because when the local production is there, people will be employed. Okay. Yeah, so you will not be threatened by the import of the foreign good, okay, or the competitions from the foreign production network. Okay. And second, the government decided to restrict international trade because they want to assist the establishment of the new industry. Okay, because new industry always need a very close safeguard, a close protection by the government in the way of providing supporting policy, okay, providing the consulting platform, providing any coordinating mechanism, and even more seriously, providing tech holiday. Okay, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of new industry in the tourism sector are critically in need of the tax holiday mechanism by the government, and our prime minister has endorsed a number of packages to support the hotel industry in the tourism sector who are seriously hit by the COVID-19 pandemic so far. So we want to assist the establishment of the new industry, okay, to emerge in the market so that we can have a variety of production network, production chain, so we can also create more productivity, expand our export capacity, because we in the series of neo mercantilism, we want to rely on export other than import. Okay, so by establishing new industry locally, we can of course promote export in the future. And third, we want to support. I mean, the government decided to restrict international trade because it want to support the domestic industry to establish itself on the world market. What do you mean by establishing itself on the world market? It means that it wants the local company, but to be able to open branch, to open subsidiary in the global market, okay, to expand its capacity, to expand its image on international scale, in the international platform. Okay, for example, right now, if you always open, okay, the service sector, banking service sector to the foreign company, let's say Bread Bank or even Barclay Bank from the UK are right now coming to Cambodia. I think Barclay cannot sustain its operation and also cannot go beyond Cambodia territory. Okay, because right now Akleda is also operating in Laos, in Myanmar. Okay, because the government balance, okay, between the imports of banking service, and right now we can provide this in Cambodia, but also provide banking service in our neighboring Laos and Myanmar. Okay, so we want to position our domestic industry to be allocated in the foreign market, to be standing in the. That is why we need to restrict to some extent the international trade. Not restrict international trade because we want to generate the government revenue, because international trade, when it is restricted, it will be embedded with the new tariff regime. And the government, especially in like Cambodia, we got the General Department of Taxation, okay, GDT, okay, under the Ministry of Economic and Finance. I heard that of 2022, we generate around 30% of the targeted tech revenue. So I think it's very, successful. Okay, I don't know whether the company who are right now facing the COVID-19 are complaining about this tax regime or not. But as far as I know, it is very okay. Not to mention about the custom authority along the border. We can get lots of money so far to help build our economic corridor during the COVID-19 here. So restricting international trade is also a way to retain, to keep, to improve our government revenue. And why government revenue is important? Because it is something that is belong to the public. Why it belongs to the public? We vote for the people, we vote for the government. So in social contract theory, the government is mandated to provide something that the government has devoted. We devoted, for example, the Cambodian government, each individual has 10 rights. So we decided to give up on our 8 rights eat, for example, while the other egg, right, we decided to devote to the government through election. We cannot decide on foreign policy matter. Of course, we can decide because it is our state affair. But right now we decided to delegate the power to the government through election. We choose the government through election in order for the government to decide on that matter on our own behalf. Okay. That the government who got elected by us can provide back to us to retain, to safeguard our two basic rights: the right to live, the right to education, for example. Okay. So it is called social contract theory. It is government revenue. Government revenue provide tariff along the border. Let's say that. So if you don't have money from the action along the border, how can you provide public service? Let's say that health sector, okay, education, or school building, okay, market, road, okay, and some other kind of public good, including water management and so on. So this kind of public good, not if you don't have enough finance, if you don't have enough revenue from partly from our tax regime, from our charity regime. Government revenue to ensure that they can supply sufficient or enough. If you cannot supply the public good to the people, back to the people, how you can management of leadership when yes.
Hello, it's quite hard to hear from you.
Yeah, come on. Huh?
Your internet
Anybody can hear me well?
No, cannot
Oh
hear
yeah,
you well.
yeah, maybe. Can you hear me well right now? Maybe my internet connection is not stable enough. Oh, my bad. Oh my God. I feel so bad with this internet connection. Hello, guy. Anybody can hear me well?
Now we can hear you.
Okay. Internet connection is always not stable here. I don't know why, but maybe I heard that OpenNet is facing sanction from the government. I mean, the threat from the government to close if it does not pay the debt it owes to the government over 3 million US dollar. And I feel so regretted that I use this company network because I trust in it so far, and right now it faces crisis like this, so very hard for me to provide. Okay, guys, you right now can hear me well, a little more smoothly than before.
Yes, teacher, but
Okay.
we cannot see the screen.
Okay.
Share screen.
Yeah, I'm sharing the screen once again. Resharing it now. Okay. Hello. Can you see the screen right now?
Still loading, teacher.
Okay.
Yes, teacher, we can see now.
Okay. Oh my God, a lot of obstacle along the way. Oh, okay. So more revenue, the government need revenue to provide the public service back to the people because they need to retain their power in the next manner to public good back to the people as you have promised so far. In social contract theory, people will not elect for you once again in the next mandate. So you need to serve it back. So the best way to serve the people well is to generate as much as revenue possible from the tax and also tariff regime internally and along the border. trades. Okay. The fifth reason why international trade is always restricted, is always opted by the government for restriction, is to protect the national security and ensure self-sufficiency. Okay, why international trade? When we restrict international trade, we protect our national security. As I said earlier in the previous session, the word security here does not only refer to the weaponry issue, but it also refers to the health issue, refers to the environmental issue, okay, refers to the starvation, hunger, or something like that, of food security. Okay, so if we always rely on imports of grain, imports of rice, import of wheat from the rest of the world, and we never have wheat or grain in Cambodia. So one day the crisis come unexpectedly, like the COVID-19 or food crisis in 2008. Let's say that our national security will be jeopardized position. Why? Because we no longer get access to the foreign market to get supply for this kind of rice, grain, or wheat. So the best way is to keep it producing locally. When we faced the COVID-19 crisis, the government decided to open many factories that produce methanol, that produce alcohol, okay? And we also create new factory in Sweden, as I remember, to create facial masks. Because previously we always import facial masks from Vietnam and China and South Korea, but right now, due to the COVID-19, we found that our national security cannot always be determined for export. It must be determined also local production by our local production capacity. That is, we have to restrict some parts of international trade that we use that import this kind of item, and then replace it with our local production, so that we can sustain our security, not to be determined by the outside factor, by the external factor. And we also ensure self-sufficiency, meaning that during the hard time we can supply ourselves, we can feed on our own without calling on the other member to supply us during the emergency time. Okay, so it's very important to restrict international trade, not wholly but partly, just to protect our national security and also to ensure our self-sufficiency. And number 6, it's very important here. The government also restrict international trade because they want to protect and promote the non-economic societal value and interests such as public morale, public health, and sustainable environment, human rights, minimum labor standard, consumer safety, and cultural identity and diversity. Let's say that we decided to restrict the imports of K-pop. Let's say that I don't offend anybody here who are the fans of K-pop, but let's say that if one day K-pop seems to dominate our own existing culture, the government might find some way to restrict the import of K-pop culture into Cambodia. So what is the purpose of doing so? Because we don't want to have all K-pop entertainment display in Cambodia that overrate or that disaster that like censorship mode and so on. It's just one example. When I went to Bhutan in Thimphu, Bhutan is very close to Mongolia and China, and also Bengal of India. When I went there, was facing a wind turbulence. Just like the plane was not flying smoothly because of the very high temperature fluctuation, okay, along the Himalaya mountain. Okay. When there, I feel so shocked because when I went there, everything in Bhutan is very kind of clean and original. Okay, I could see the animal living with the people in Thimphu, of Bhutan. I went to the king palace in Bhutan, and then I could see a lot of traditional, performance. Okay, Bhutan by the old ancestor. Okay, you always keep this, and why you always keep the animal living with the people in the city? Is it very dangerous? And why you pay you impose the fee on the foreign tourists who want to visit the country? Because if I go to my own personal visit, I need to pay around 250 US for the entrance, okay, for the entrance into Bhutan. Not to mention about the etiquette and so on, or other additional service. And I asked why the government decided to do so, because when you do so, you will discourage people not to come to visit it. So then they said that I decided to do so because if I want to keep everything here clean, original, cultural, and what living with the people in the city. If you want to see this smart, some just pay 250 US dollar to see something that the world never has right now. So Bhutan has this kind of, you cannot see the wild animal living with people across the city. Okay, you cannot see many dog and many wild dog living with the traffic police. Okay, at the station. Okay, so it's very kind of our culture. So why don't you just pay 200
Excuse me, teacher.
and 250? Yes, cannot hear one again.
Yeah, very difficult to hear you.
My God. Hello ស្ដាប់ឮទេមកខ្ញុំកាន់កុំព្យូទ័រទៅកន្លែងចិត្តអ៊ីនធឺណិតមក Hello guys ស្ដាប់ឮទេ
ពេលណាឈើអូបងដល់ពេលច្រើននិយាយ slow
Okay
like when you think it's slow
ឥឡូវស្ដាប់បានទេម្ដង
yeah hear clearly
Yeah Okay Okay Oh my God Okay អញ្ចឹងអត់អីពិបាកទេយើងរៀនហើយប៉ុន្តែគ្រាន់ចង់រំលឹកសារថ្មីថារដ្ឋាភិបាលគាត់បិទការនាំចេញនាំចូលគោលបំណងគឺដើម្បីមិនបិទការនាំចេញនាំចូលគឺរដ្ឋបិទការនាំចេញនាំចូលដើម្បីលំហូរកុំឲ្យមានការលំហូរខ្លាំងក្លាពេកពីព្រោះតែលំហូរវាប៉ះពាល់ដល់ domestic production វាប៉ះពាល់ដល់ establishment of new industry វាប៉ះពាល់ដល់ our position in the global market វាប៉ះពាល់ដល់ revenue របស់យើងដែលយើងធ្លាប់តែទទួលបាន2ទៅ3,000 លានដុល្លារក្នុងមួយឆ្នាំដល់ពេលយើងកាត់បន្ថយពន្ធទម្លាក់ពន្ធបើកមកទាំងអស់លុយលេងខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់ថារាល់ថ្ងៃរដ្ឋាភិបាលគឺពឹងលើពន្ធដែរនឹងគយហ្នឹងគឺជាសរសៃឈាមដ៏ធំបំផុតដាច់ពីរនឹងដាច់មួយគឺបាទវេទនីមានចលាចលច្រើនយើងអាចពឹងលើជំនួយបានទាំងអស់ហើយ foreign visa របស់យើងក៏មានកម្រិតដែរយើងមិនអាចទៅយកមាសដែលយើងរកលទុកនៅធនាគារស្វីសអីណាយកមក dispose ដើម្បីលុកចាយគ្នាអត់ទេគឺយើងពឹងលើចំណូលដែលយើងទទួលបានរាល់ថ្ងៃហើយចំណាយទៅវិញរាល់ថ្ងៃចំណាយចរន្តនិងចំណាយសកលអូខេអញ្ចឹងបើយើងអត់មានចំណូលថិតថេរចេញមកពីពន្ធគយនិងពន្ធដារទេរដ្ឋាភិបាលយើងក៏ពិបាកក្នុងការធានានៅ leadership ដែរយើងចង់បានស្ពានមិនបានចង់បានផ្លូវមិនបានធ្វើអីទៅសុំគេអាហ្នឹងពឹងលើដង្ហើមគេអាហ្នឹងវាចូលទៅដល់ self insufficiency គឺអត់ពឹងពាក់ខ្លួនឯងបានពឹងពាក់ទៅលើអ្នកដទៃអញ្ចឹងរដ្ឋាភិបាលត្រូវតែ restrict international trade to some extent ដើម្បីទទួលបានផលប្រយោជន៍ពីរបបពន្ធគយគេរបបពន្ធនិងរបបគយហើយទី6ចុងក្រោយហ្នឹងគឺការបិទការរដ្ឋបတ်ការនាំចូលការនាំចេញហ្នឹងមិនត្រឹមតែពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹង economic value ប៉ុន្តែតកតងទៅនឹង non economic value រួមមានជាអាចដូចជាធ្វើការពារផលប្រយោជន៍សាធារណៈការមិននាំចូលដូចពីប្រហែលថ្ងៃកន្លងទៅនោះមិនសម្ដេចកលាហោមខ្ញុំអាសាតាមដានព័ត៌មានអញ្ចឹងណាពីព្រោះសុទ្ធតែពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយដែររឿងដែលខ្ញុំធ្វើការសម្ដេចកលាហោមមិនបានគម្រាមទៅដល់រដ្ឋមន្ត្រីម្នាក់ឲ្យកាត់បន្ថយឲ្យពិនិត្យមើលការនាំចូលសារធាតុគីមីមកផលិតថ្នាំសត្វថ្នាំអីហ្នឹងទៅមកផលិតថ្នាំពេទ្យអីហ្នឹងទៅពីព្រោះសារធាតុគីមីមួយចំនួនគឺត្រូវបានគេយកមកបម្រើការផលិតគ្រឿងញៀននៅក្នុងប្រទេសអញ្ចឹងវាទៅជាមិននាំគ្រឿងញៀនមកប៉ុន្តែនាំគ្រឿងគីនាំសារធាតុគីមីមកហើយបន្លំមកជាផលិតគ្រឿងញៀនអញ្ចឹង សម្ដេចកន្លះហមលោកបានណែនាំឲ្យរដ្ឋមន្ត្រីមួយហ្នឹងគឺពិនិត្យសារវិញហើយសម្ដេចក៏បានបន្តថែមទៀតអញ្ចឹងមានន័យថាយើងត្រូវតែមានការរដ្ឋបတ်លើសារធាតុគីមីដើម្បីស្អីដើម្បីធានាថាមិនឲ្យអាហ្នឹងវាជាច្រកមួយដើម្បីឈានទៅដល់ការផលិតគ្រឿងយន្តនៅក្នុងស្រុកប៉ះពាល់ដល់ public health អាហ្នឹងគ្រាន់តែជារឿងឧទាហរណ៍ទុំមិនចាអញ្ចឹងយើងត្រូវរដ្ឋបတ်ហ្នឹងមិនវាថា restrict ខ្ញុំនិយាយគឺវាមិនតែដាក់ពន្ធទេប៉ុន្តែវាដាក់របាំងដែរមិនមែនពន្ធគយតែពិនិត្យមើល origin ប្រភពដើមនៃទំនិញមកយកក្នុងប្រព័ន្ធelect system របស់ EU វាយកក្នុងប្រព័ន្ធ asset វាយកក្នុងប្រព័ន្ធកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងផ្សេងទៀតអញ្ចឹងត្រូវមើលទាំងអស់អូខេហើយការនាំចេញនៅក្នុងពាណិជ្ជកម្មជាតិក៏អាចធានាការធ្វើការការពារដោយនិរន្តរភាពនៃបរិស្ថានដែរការការពារវាការពារដោយផ្ទាល់និងដោយមិនផ្ទាល់ការពារដោយផ្ទាល់ហ្នឹងគឺកាលណាយើងរដ្ឋបတ်ទៅការធ្វើ transportation សម្រាប់ការប្រតិបត្តិកាត់បន្ថយបំផ្លាញស្អីឧស្ម័នឬក៏កាត់បន្ថយផ្សែងចេញមកពីការធ្វើចរាចរណ៍នៃទំនិញទាំងអស់ពីព្រោះតាមកប៉ាល់តាមយន្តហោះសុទ្ធតែបង្កផលប៉ះពាល់ដល់បរិស្ថាន ozone layer អាហ្នឹងគឺការកាត់បន្ថយផលប៉ះពាល់លើបរិស្ថានដោយផ្ទាល់ដោយមិនផ្ទាល់នេះតែកាលណាយើងកាត់បន្ថយការធ្វើបរិកម្មមួយចំនួនវាធ្វើឲ្យមានការកាត់បន្ថយការកាប់ព្រៃឈើឧទាហរណ៍ទៅកាលណាយើង promote investment មកកាន់តែច្រើនដើម្បីធានាឲ្យមានការនាំចេញការនាំយកកាន់តែច្រើនជាងយើង promote investment ចឹង investment មកត្រូវតែមាន land reclamation ហើយត្រូវមានដីមួយចំនួនដែលជាបឹងជាបួយទេប៉ុន្តែយើងត្រូវលុបដើម្បីទៅជា industrial park ទៅឲ្យយើងទៅដីកោះពេជ្រត្រូវតែធ្វើទៅជាកោះពេជ្រលុបបឹងលុបអីហ្នឹងទៅយើងត្រូវកាប់ព្រៃឈើដើម្បីបង្កើតដីធ្វើរោងចក្រនៅស្រុកអារ៉ាល់កំពង់ស្ពឺនៅកោះកុងនៅមណ្ឌលគិរីអញ្ចឹងវាសិតតែប៉ះពាល់បរិស្ថានប៉ុន្តែដើម្បីអីគឺដើម្បី import and export អញ្ចឹងដើម្បីកាត់បន្ថយផលប៉ះពាល់បរិស្ថានហ្នឹងគឺកាត់បន្ថយ import export ទៅលើវិស័យណាមួយទៅកាត់បន្ថយ import export លើទៅគេលែងយកដីរាប់រយរាប់ម៉ឺនមកធ្វើជាកម្មទៅហើយពីព្រោះអត់មានទីការរឿង EBA កន្លងទៅគឺខ្ញុំបានចុះទៅផ្ទាល់ជាមួយ EU គណៈប្រតិភូ EU មកពី Brussels តំណាង28ប្រទេសហើយកាលហ្នឹងយើងខ្ញុំបានជាមួយក្រសួងការបរទេសបានទៅផ្ទាល់ជាមួយ EU ទៅមើលដីនៅកំពង់ស្ពឺទៅមើលដីនៅកោះកុងដែលគេចោទថាជា blood sugar ជា sugar ដែលចេញមកពីឈាមចេញពីការតាមរបាយការណ៍របស់ Human Rights Watch Watchdog ឯណាហ្នឹងគឺគេថាបើទៅអស់ហ្នឹងបានចេញមកពីការយកដីប្រជាពលរដ្ឋដែលជាដីឈាមដីដែលកើតពីការលោមពៀនការប្លន់អីចឹងទៅអញ្ចឹងយើងទៅបញ្យល់ពួក EU វិញថាយើងបានផ្ដល់សំណងហើយអាជ្ញាធរក៏បានដឹងឮប្រជាពលរដ្ឋក៏ទទួលបានសំណងផ្ដិតមានអាយុអស់ហើយប៉ុន្តែគ្រាន់ថាមានមេមកអញ្ចឹងបាន EU គាត់មកមើលផ្ទាល់បានគាត់ស្ងប់ទីកន្លែងហើយខ្ញុំទៅដល់កន្លែងជួបមួយអាជ្ញាធរទៅដឹងថាគាត់ពិតវាមានរឿងច្រើនដែលយើងទៅដល់ជាការទៅពីសំណងប៉ុន្តែវាមានរឿងមួយចំនួនទៀតហើយខ្ញុំបានជួបផ្ទាល់ថាយើង promote international trade too much we also contributes to the violation of human rights for example EU ពួកយើងបែរជាធ្លាប់បិទការនាំចូលត្រីពីប្រទេសថៃដើម្បីអីដោយសារតែរបាយការណ៍ជាច្រើនរបស់គណៈកម្មការសិទ្ធិមនុស្សអន្តរជាតិលើ migrant worker មកពី supply នៅក្នុង fishing industry នៅរបស់ប្រទេសថៃអញ្ចឹងពេលរបាយការណ៍របស់ EU សម្រាប់ចាត់បិទការនាំចូលត្រីពីប្រទេសថៃក្នុងរយៈពេលជាលក្ខពីប្រចាំឆ្នាំនេះប៉ុន្តែយើងអាចឆែក Google ទៅគឺមានករណីហ្នឹងដើម្បីអីដើម្បី remove the violations of human rights ស្អីគេទៀត EU ក៏ធ្លាប់ដក EBA partially ពីប្រទេសបង់ក្លាដែរគេពីព្រោះបង់ក្លាដែរកាលហ្នឹងយើងបែរជាចាំមានរោងចក្រប្រហែលជាន់ស្លាប់ទៅជាស្លាប់កម្មករកម្មការនេះនៅបង់ក្លាដែរច្រើនអ្នកហើយរដ្ឋាភិបាលអត់មានកញ្ចប់ទទួលខុសត្រូវច្បាស់លាស់អញ្ចឹងហើយគាត់ពឹងទៅលើអាការនាំចេញ textile ហ្នឹង អញ្ចឹង EU គេបានដាក់ទណ្ឌកម្មតាមរយៈការដក EBA មួយផ្នែកចេញមកពី EBA ដែលគាត់ឲ្យទៅបង់ឡាដែរហ្នឹងលើផលិតផល textile ផលិតផលវិញ្ញាណភ័ណ្ឌដោយសារតែអាគាររោងចក្រដែលផលិតកណាត់ផលិតវិញ្ញាណភ័ណ្ឌបាក់ហើយអត់មានរដ្ឋាភិបាលទទួលខុសត្រូវអញ្ចឹងវាជា violations of labor right labor standard ដែរអញ្ចឹងសុទ្ធតែពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹង human right labor ILO convention ហ្នឹងទៅអញ្ចឹងសុទ្ធតែជា non economic value គេដែល state always take into modernized state like in the EU, in the US, in Canada, they always care about non-economic value because they believe that non-economic value by human being. You cannot use the money to buy non-economic value. Like labor standard, you cannot use the money to buy it. Okay? It depends on your treatment. It depends on your way of coordination. It's not about the money. Environment, you cannot get the money to buy environment. Okay, money environment, cannot be replaceable. Okay, money is the other way. Environment is in it. It also get the money to preserve the environment. It is very impossible. Okay, so this non-economic introductions of restriction of international trade by government. Adjustment cost. So what is adjustment cost? Adjustment cost in economic theory is very important. Okay, when you put sanction on Russia, when you put sanction on Burma, when you put sanction on
Hello sir. Hello sir.
Hello, guy. Can you hear me now? Oh my God. Hello. Sejahtera ni.
Hello sir.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Okay,
Hello, sir.
rồi. Nhóm sejahtera quá bạn. Why? Huh? Hello.
Yes sir, can hear you clearly now sir.
Okay. Ôi, chuột từng thú, chuột từng sai ngày này. Nhưng mà đã chụp một đó nặng này. 4-5 đó còn đánh. Okay. អញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំនិយាយករណីមិញគឺលក្ខណៈ adjustment cost នៅពេលដែលគេដាក់ sanction ទៅលើរុស្ស៊ីគេដាក់ sanction ទៅលើភូមាដាក់ sanction ទៅលើកម្ពុជាទៅលើ China ដែលចោទទៅលើសំណុំចោទលើប្រជាធិបតេយ្យគេរំពឹងថា investment នៅក្នុងកម្ពុជានឹង move ទៅភូមាតែដោយករណី EBA អញ្ចឹង investment នៅក្នុងរុស្ស៊ីនឹង move ទៅស្តៀងគ្នា ប៉ុន្តែអ្នកដែលដាក់ sanction ហ្នឹងគាត់គិតអញ្ចឹងគឺមិនគាត់មិនយល់គាត់យល់ប៉ុន្តែគាត់ ignore ទ្រឹស្ដី adjustment cost នេះបានន័យថានៅពេលដែលយើងផលិតអីមួយនៅក្នុងវិស័យអីមួយនៅក្នុងទីតាំងណាមួយជាក់លាក់ទេពេលនោះហើយ economy of scale យើងគឺមានការកើនឡើងបានន័យថាយើង specialize ផ្នែកហ្នឹងនៅក្នុងជំនាញហ្នឹងក្នុងទឹកដីហ្នឹងក្នុងទីតាំងហ្នឹងអ្វី install ហើយអញ្ចឹងយើងមានតែ production line ទេដែលយើងត្រូវ care យើងអត់ care អំពី equipment អត់ care អំពី maintenance ទេវាមាន install ហើយអញ្ចឹងនៅពេលដែលរោងចក្រត្រូវការរើទីតាំងទៅកន្លែងមួយគឺគេមិនចេះតែរើតាមតែឃើញពីប្រទេសដែលដាក់ sanction ទៅទេវាថាកន្លែងដាក់ sanction ដើម្បីឲ្យឯងកុំធ្វើការនៅប្រទេសហ្នឹងកុំរកស៊ីនៅប្រទេសហ្នឹងទៅរកស៊ីនៅប្រទេសផ្សេង It is not possible to do so because why? Because in adjustment cost theory, okay, when we are specialized something, when we are specialized in using one source, okay, when we are very well managed with the associated costs, okay, in our production chain, okay, we don't care, we don't think of reallocations of our production because we found that if we reallocate our production network, we change almost everything. We might change our specialization. We might change our types of labor. We might change the rental fees of a place. We might change the new price of installment of equipment. So this kind of adjustment cost is far much bigger, okay, than the gain, okay, you get from your production that exists right now. So more or less, the investor are not always keen to move, okay, their production network from one place to another due to sanction. Even right now in Russia, okay, even as they know that when they stay here, they will be facing bombing, they will be facing missile strike from the US, let's say that. But they're still here. They still stay here in Russia, keep the positive momentum, keep the belief that one day it will be fine, one day the war will be end. Because why? Because if they move their production network, if they move their factory to the other country, it's not that easy as you start. It is not easy as the Americans say it, okay? Because we have to think about the adjustment cost. For example, the displaced worker, okay, also the land, okay, the place, the installment, the material, okay, the location, gravity network. Let's say that right now you are in Russia, so you have to move to the other location, other country that are far from your export destination. So you think about all this kind of factor, okay, because this kind of factor are the very potential factor in the adjustment cost that will give you a very careful consideration when deciding to move one production from one place to another, okay, one sector to another, okay, because when you move your production network, when you move your place, okay, you also move the worker, meaning that the worker might not be going with you, but you will need to find a new worker, new line, new chance of worker that might be new to you, and then your sector might also be new to them. So you need to do training, like 2 or 3 month training. It's going to be a waste of time. It's going to be a waste of financial resource from the company. So adjustment cost is always in the highest agenda of consideration when any company wishes to move from one place to another. Okay, that is why sometimes, as China said, sanction is not working. Okay. Even some country that support Russia, like a few days ago, they said that sanction does not work. Okay? Sanction does not work, but right now it works. Okay, because it's kind of a very I don't know how to say, but right now many sanctions across the world, okay, imposed on Russia. If on the Tuesday, I think it might not impact Russian economy, but here almost from all directions in the world imposed, okay, objectively in Russia alone, on Russia alone, okay, and also right now on Belarus. So I'm also waiting to see, okay, whether the company in Russia, the company in Belarus will move, okay, from Russia or not. But this afternoon, I got a news that the ISAELL company, the cell company that we use oil in Russia, just move their production from Russia. I don't know about the value of the adjustment cost, but I'm sure that it is not always smooth, okay, to move from one place to another, and a very big, a very huge, okay, oil producing company in Russia. So you can imagine you need to find a new place, new worker, new equipment installment, okay, new land, okay, new market destination, new gravity model, okay, gravity model mean the distance between your production channel, your production batch, and export destination. So it's gonna be very kind of, very costly, okay, not that easy, okay. But they have no choice because the tensions in the Ukraine war right now is kind of very intensive, that everybody fear, okay, the consequences, economic consequences, and also security consequences from the war. And what are the costs? Oh, what does the cost depend on? Depending on the functioning of credit market. Okay, if the credit market work properly, displaced worker will find less difficulty in finding their career of low income or income. At the same time, firm would find more easily money for the new. Okay. មួយ move from បដូរកម្មករបដូរអីហ្នឹងគឺវានឹងមានខុសវាពឹងផ្អែកទៅលើទី1មានកត្តាច្រើនហើយកត្តាទី1ហ្នឹងគឺកត្តា credit market អញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាទីផ្សារនៅក្នុងប្រទេសហ្នឹងអត់សមអំណោយផលមានការផ្ដល់ប្រាក់កម្ចីបានល្អអត់មានបងការងារក្នុងអត្រាការប្រាក់ទាបពីព្រោះនៅអូស្ត្រាលីនៅអង់គ្លេសគឺនៅពេលដែលយើងបាត់បង់ការងារដោយហេតុការណ៍ណាមួយយើងជាបុគ្គលម្នាក់ដែលអាចទទួលបានឥណទានដាច់ដោយឡែកថងថាខុសពីឥណទានសាធារណៈឥណទាន retail employment credit នេះគឺមានថានៅពេលដែលយើងបាត់បង់ការងារដោយប្រការណាមួយប្រធានស័ក្តិដោយឧបតហេតុណាមួយរបស់ក្រុមហ៊ុនយើងអាចទទួលបាន loan ពីធនាគារហ្នឹងក្នុងអត្រាកម្រិតទាបបំផុតដើម្បីឲ្យយើង transit ទៅរកការងារមួយទៀតពីព្រោះក្នុងរយៈពេល transit ហ្នឹងយើងអាចពាក់លុយស្ថាប័នផ្សេងដែលយើងត្រូវការលុយពីស្ថាប័ននេះដើម្បីយកទៅបង់ប្រាក់ស្ថាប័នផ្សេងយើងអាចខ្វះលុយដើម្បីគ្រប់គ្រងគ្រួសារអាចខ្វះលុយក្នុងការ support កូនបង់លុយយ៉ាងទៅអញ្ចឹងហើយធនាគារនៅស្រុកគេគឺគេមានសម្រាប់ប្រាក់កម្ចីឲ្យ displaced worker ដើម្បីខ្ចីក្នុងរយៈពេលខ្លីជាក់លាក់ហើយត្រូវតែធានាមកវិញក្នុងរយៈពេលណាជាក់លាក់វិញខ្ញុំអត់ចាំច្បាស់ទេប៉ុន្តែគេមានគោលការណ៍ហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងវា depends on credit market នៅក្នុងប្រទេសហ្នឹងបើសិនជានៅក្នុងស្រុកហ្នឹងគឺមានប្រព័ន្ធផ្ដល់ប្រាក់កម្ចីដល់ displaced worker ចេញដែលកើតចេញមកពីក្រុមហ៊ុនដែលបានបោះបង់ពួកគាត់អាហ្នឹងគឺវាសូវជាមានបញ្ហាទីគាត់អាចខ្ចី money transit the new job បានដោយងាយស្រួលហើយអត្រាការប្រាក់ទាបឬក៏ zero ហើយសម្រាប់ក្រុមហ៊ុនវិញគឺក៏ស្រួលដែរនៅពេលដែលគាត់មានបញ្ហានៅក្នុងទឹកដីនេះមួយដោយសារតែ compete មិនឈ្នះគេហើយគាត់ត្រូវការ remove ក្រុមហ៊ុនទៅរកទីផ្សារផ្សេងឬក៏ខ្សែធនក៏ពឹងផ្អែកទៅលើcredit market ដែលបើសិនជានៅក្នុងប្រទេសហ្នឹងគឺ credit market សម្រាប់ក្រុមហ៊ុនខ្សែធនមិនដែលមានproposal ឲ្យច្បាស់លាស់ត្រឹមត្រូវគឺគេឲ្យការប្រាក់គេឲ្យប្រាក់ខ្ចីបានដោយមិនមានការច្រើនអញ្ចឹងវាអាចជាបច្ច័យមួយល្អដើម្បីឲ្យក្រុមហ៊ុនហ្នឹងអាចអត់សូវពិចារណាច្រើនទេរឿង adjustment cost គឺបើថាគាត់អាចបដូរទៅធ្វើបើក្រុមហ៊ុនសាថ្មី rearrangement គេឬក៏អាច joint venture ជាមួយអ្នកផ្សេងបានងាយស្រួលដោយសារតែគាត់មានធនមានមូលធនមានធនធានចេញមកពីធនាគារអញ្ចឹង adjustment cost ហ្នឹងអាក្រក់មិនអាក្រក់វាអាស្រ័យទៅលើ credit market ដែរបើសិន credit market នៅក្នុងប្រទេសហ្នឹងគឺខ្សោយ displaced worker អត់មានការងារហើយអត់មានលុយទៀតហើយអត់មានប្រាក់ចិញ្ចឹមនេះទេហើយក្រុមហ៊ុនដែលដួលរលំហើយក្រុមហ៊ុនដែលមិនអាច compete មិនអាចចូលជើងទីផ្សារនៅពេលដែលដួលហើយចង់ទៅបើកក្រុមហ៊ុនថ្មីបើកមិនបានទៀតពីព្រោះអត់មានលុយអញ្ចឹង credit market is very important ហើយក្រៅពី credit market គឺ functioning of labor market the more efficient the labor market the more efficient will be the supply of information about the vaccine and more easily wage okay will adapt to the labor market condition and more easily market will tend to full employment គេអញ្ចឹងបានន័យថានៅពេលដែលយើងមានការ adjust production structure របស់យើង labor market នេះក៏មានលក្ខណៈសំខាន់ដែរពីព្រោះនៅពេលដែលឧទាហរណ៍តកតងទៅនឹងបរិបទ COVID អញ្ចឹងនៅពេលដែល labor នៅពេលដែលក្រុមហ៊ុនដែលផលិតវ៉ាក់សាំងហ្នឹងគឺមានការផ្លាស់ប្ដូរទីតាំងឬក៏មានការនេះប៉ុន្តែនៅពេលដែលគាត់រើសបានបុគ្គលិក labor supply ដែលថ្មីដែលមានលក្ខណៈ efficient គ្រប់គ្រាន់គឺព័ត៌មាននៃការផលិតវ៉ាក់សាំងព័ត៌មាននៃការចែកចាយវ៉ាក់សាំងគឺទទួលបានលឿនហើយthe way that use vaccine is also more specialized because right now we got efficient labor, not the new labor. The labor is new, but they are kind of specialized in that field already. អញ្ចឹងគឺអាចអានេះគ្រាន់តែជាឧទាហរណ៍ទៅនឹង vaccine ប៉ុន្តែវាមានករណីផ្សេងទៀតដែល labor ហ្នឹងគឺជាធាតុដ៏សំខាន់ក្នុង adjustment ខុសពីព្រោះ
Hello sir
ប្រទេសអញ្ចឹងបាទ a new labor market នៅក្នុងប្រទេសវៀតណាម yes hello
is it vaccine or vacancy sir
hello guys
yes sir